Alright, my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and I have been testing the AMD experience for the last 8 months. A little bit over 8 months now. I've been testing it from the 7600 XT, 7800 XT, and the 7900 XT. Now, next week I am getting I've already bought it, the 4070 Super, and I'm going to run that card with the 7800 XT, you know, for a while. I mean, we're gonna be testing it out. We're gonna be checking out the Nvidia features and doing all of that stuff. I've used Nvidia before. I actually bought a 4070 for the channel a while back, and I had sold that card, and so now I'm getting a 4070 Super. I know that sounds ridiculous. That sounds stupid to already have one and then trade it out, but I figured that the 4070 Super is going to deliver an experience on par with the 7800 XT, and in some ways, like ray tracing and other features, it's going to surpass that card. So that'll give me a pretty decent look at because that's pretty much my where I feel comfortable at. Not necessarily comfortable, but where I like to be in terms of, you know, like having, you know, GPU power and all of that stuff is the mid-range. I like the mid-range. I feel pretty good about it. I'm able to do everything I need to do on the 7800 XT. That's the one in my PC right now. I've been running the 7800 XT for the last couple of weeks now. Before that, I had the 7900 XT in there. I've had the 7600 XT in there. Both of those are absolutely incredible GPUs. I do like them both for what they bring to the table. The 7600 XT gives you a big enough VRAM buffer to actually, you know, crank up them settings, play games. You know, you don't have to worry about running out of VRAM. You don't have to worry about, you know, anything else. If you're a 1080p gamer, that card is absolutely incredible for you. It gives you the ability to push forward into 1440p. And in some games, actually be able to run 4K resolution and get a 60 FPS experience. Now, the one game that I tested that on was, you know, Suicide Squad. I was actually able to get a 4K 60 experience out of that by using, you know, FSR and all of that other stuff. So that was pretty good, and it felt pretty dang stable. It was fun. Like, you know, I was easily able to play that, and it looked incredible. Running that on a 4K TV on my LG OLED C2, that was a pretty decent experience. So when it comes to, you know, the PC space on the AMD platform, you're not necessarily leaving a whole bunch on the table, because to be completely honest with you, I've been pretty surprised at just how good the AMD experience is on these 7000 series GPUs. I bought 3 of them because I believe in it, and I've wanted to test, you know, the lower end. I wanted to test the mid range, and I wanted to test, you know, the entry level to like the high end. To tell you the truth, honestly, guys, I probably would have bought a 7900 XTX if I thought it was going to actually fit in the old pre-built that I had. But buying the 7900 XT had me rebuilding my whole PC and stuff, and it wasn't even a planned thing. I just, you know, couldn't fit that card in my old case, so I had to run down to Home Depot or not Home Depot, but Best Buy, and buy all the stuff and come back, and I put it together. And ever since then, I've pretty much been running, you know, the AMD platform. And then I bought that 4070 so that I could test that against the 7800 XT. And to be completely honest with you guys, when I was testing that 4070, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to lie and tell you I was, you know, 100% fair. Like that's just dumb. I went into that with a biased attitude, due to the fact that, like, my 3080 experience, my 3080 10 gig experience didn't really turn out all that well. But now in hindsight, looking back at that experience and how I view Nvidia now and going forward, how I'm going to view that and how I'm going to cover that, it's easier for me as a content creator and as somebody to be able to get rid of my bias by looking at the Nvidia experience as an experience that you upgrade every 2 years. And I mean, this might not be for everybody to do that, but if I look at it and that, if I look at it from that point of view, like I used to view my old phones, I used to upgrade every year. If I look at it from that point of view, Nvidia's that's a good thing. That's a good thing, and you want me to look at Nvidia from that point of view, because then that makes it a significantly better experience for the Nvidia thing. So and it works this way because with AMD, what I've noticed over this last 8 months, when I bought this, we didn't have FSR3. We didn't have access to AMD's fluid motion frames. I didn't have access to any of that stuff. It was still pretty much a vanilla experience with FSR2 and all of the other stuff. So I didn't have any access to these other features that came later throughout, the time frame that I've had these AMD cards. So in my mind, with AMD, they launched their cards. They're kind of half-baked. They don't have every feature and everything available right there at launch, so you spend a lot of time waiting. But it's those periodic drops that you get with AMD that makes it an exciting experience. Now, you might not have it up front, but you do get these things dropped over time, and they do update their drivers pretty often. They give you access to the betas. When I had the betas for AMD's fluid motion frames a long time in advance. All of that stuff, I was able to test it from the very beginning all the way through the end, all the way to launch, and being able to do that. So with AMD and being able to get into those like little beta programs and take advantage of that, it was exciting, and it's been exciting, and it's kept that honeymoon phase going a lot longer than normal. Like I usually don't have a honeymoon phase that long, and so that coupled with the amazing Adrenaline software has been amazing. And the way, I've said this a lot, the way that I perceive the visuals for the AMD platform when I'm on my 1440p monitor, it looks incredible. Like I love that thick, velvety, dense look that I get when I play these games on my 1440p monitor, running them on like a higher resolution, down sampling back down to 1440p. Absolutely looks incredible, and I love it. So like with the AMD experience, it's the experience continues to get better throughout the generation, and it keeps you excited. And that's one of the good things about AMD, and what I really like about that is, yeah, their features might not be up front, they might not come out, but they come out across their stack. They come out for their last gen cards, they come out for their new gen cards. Everybody gets to participate in that, and it adds long-term value to your AMD experience. And that completely, for me anyways, contrasts with the Nvidia experience. And now that I'm looking at this from a new point of view and looking at it as an upgrade cycle every 2 years, that's fine. Like I'm okay with that. I've made peace with that. Like I'm 100% okay with that. I should have, went from the 3080 straight over to the 4070. I am going to say this. I do think that the super cards are not necessarily not necessary, but these are the cards that they should have launched at the beginning of when the 4070 launched. The 4070 Super that I just bought, that I'll pick up Tuesday, this card should have, and I'm pretty excited that I got the freaking Founders Edition. I've always looked at those and I've always been like, dang, them cards look good. So I'm glad that I've got a Founders Edition. So this is going to look incredible. It's going to be good. And now that I'm looking at it from a point of view that it's an upgrade cycle for the Nvidia platform, that makes it so much easier. Like seriously, like completely changes like my whole outlook on the Nvidia thing and makes it better. And that way I'll be able to actually cover it and be excited for the Nvidia product, and for the people that are interested in the Nvidia product. This channel is going to serve both. Like I'm going to serve both masters, not necessarily serve both masters, but it doesn't have to always be like you love one and hate the other. It doesn't have to be that way. There's enough on AMD to make me fully love that experience, and there's enough on Nvidia to make me fully love that experience. But let me explain a little bit more on the Nvidia thing and how I was able to come to this. So Nvidia, when they launched their GPUs, like the beginning of the 40 series, it came out, it had the DLSS 3, it had the frame generation, it had the freaking DLSS 3.5, it had the denoiser, all of that stuff like their day one. And now they've actually brought out a beta to enhance the overall user experience. So that's exciting. And I can see why people get excited for Nvidia. And that's great. You buy it, you get your features right then. And let's be honest, I mean, like the experience does kind of improve a little bit over the span of the Nvidia, or at least it kind of did throughout. I'm trying to remember back to the, I don't know, guys. At the end of that generation, when the 40 series started to launch, and toward the end with that 3080 10 gig, things started to kind of go downhill a little bit. We were starting to get those cross-gen games that were coming out. The Nvidia card, my 3080, was starting to have stuttering issues. It was running out of VRAM. Poorly optimized games, stuff like that. And we are gonna chalk it up to poorly optimized games. That's fair. I've had my fair share of poorly optimized games over here on the AMD platform. I mean, like, think about it. Like Ark Survivors Ascended, that game came out kind of messed up. I sat there and waited for like three months of updates for Forza Horizon Forza Motorsport to finally start working. There's been some other ones, but usually those those ones aren't as big of a deal as it was for like those couple of games that were like really like sore thumbs sticking out like really bad. Pretty much a lot of the other experience has been pretty dang good with the AMD experience overall. I mean, there's been like some stuff, that like, it'll get patched like a patch later, and then it's running a lot better. And, like the experience, kind of improves, it gets better, with the AMD platform. I haven't really found myself a whole lot on the sideline thinking like, oh man, this game just runs like trash, I don't want to play it. But there have been a few. There absolutely have been a few. But nothing as bad as it was when I had the 3080. And I'm looking back and I'm remembering all the games, like Callisto Protocol, The Last of Us Remake Part 1, like Spider-Man when that first came out. You had like Wild Hearts was very, very bad on that. Jedi Survivor, I played through that on there. So there was a significant amount of games that came out in that like short span that was like adding to the whole irritation and frustration, feeling like, man, I got to upgrade, because I was still like 1 foot in, 1 foot out when it came to PC at that point. So it was a lot easier for me to just vent my anger towards Nvidia. And then when AMD came out, like we're like a year or two into like the new generation of, like consoles and stuff, and we're starting to get better optimized games, and the AMD just kind of slid in there, filled that gap, made the experience really good, gave me a great user interface that I was able to get in there and play around with and take advantage of. So yeah, like AMD earned a lot of respect from me from that. But I didn't have the 60 or the 6000 series. I didn't, and I have to look at that going forward. I have to look at that experience. But when you look back, you're seeing the people with the 6800 XTs, the 6900 XTs, the 6950 XT, the 6700 XT. You're still seeing these guys generally pretty happy with their overall experience, and then being able to take advantage of AMD's fluid motion frames, being able to access and utilize FSR3. Even the Nvidia guys actually are able to utilize that, and I do recommend that. If you're on a 30 series card and you need that extra boost, absolutely use it. I don't think FSR3 looks as bad as... I don't think FSR3 or 2 really looks as bad as everybody really tries to make it out to be. It is still a playable experience, and you can still get an overall good image quality with that, depending on what setting you're using. If you're using ultra performance on anything under 4K, yes, it's going to look bad. But if you have to use ultra performance, I only recommend that if you're at 4K. If you're using virtual super resolution, you're pushing your visuals to 4K, and then you're downsampling to a 1440p monitor. Using any of the spectrum of FSR is going to look incredible. Like, it's going to look great as long as you're downsampling to a 1440p or 1080p monitor. For that fact, you will still be able to get an amazing experience by doing that and utilizing those higher resolutions to downsample, because you're going to push all them pixels together, and it's going to look significantly better, and it's going to completely alleviate any of the issues that you would be getting from a normal from a normal viewing on a 4K screen. Just by downsampling to 1080p or 1440p, you're going to get a better image quality. So yeah. I had to start looking at the Nvidia experience this way, because there are features, and let's face it, I built my channel around community and being part of a community, and trying these products out for people, and let's be real, man. Like, yeah, I could go out and buy a 4090, I could go out and buy a 7900 XTX, but then I'd be serving 1%, 1 to 2% of the overall PC experience. And let's face it, dude, anybody buying a 4090 or 7900 XT, those people know their shit. They know their stuff. They know exactly what they want. They're willing to pay the money. They know exactly what they want. I can't compete with that. Like, I can't compete with the other, tech YouTubers that have been doing PC for a long time. I've got a couple of years into this, and I know my limits. I understand where I sit and where my where my qualifications come when it comes to this. Like, I'm a consumer. I'm just like you. I'm just like anybody else. The only difference between you and me is I have a channel that I buy this stuff and I show you guys. That's the only difference. And so, yes, community feedback and everything else that you guys tell me and give me all the time, I absolutely incorporate that into my mindset and incorporate that into the content I make. And let's face it, a $500 7800 XT versus a 4070 Super, those two cards are mid-range. Yes, your Nvidia card's $100 more. Yes, it does have, better ray tracing capability. You do have a very nice, if you want like a sharp, crisp looking image quality with DLSS, you absolutely get that. Absolutely. And sometimes I like the way DLSS looks. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't like how uncanny it can look. But yeah, dude, I mean, for the most part, you're getting a good, solid, quality experience. But like I said, now that I'm looking at this a different way, like, yes, you are going to upgrade your Nvidia GPU every generation, and that's fine. That's 100% fine. You can usually get good resale value on those GPUs. You can usually get at least half your money back. So I don't necessarily see a problem with that. If you go Nvidia, like, expect that, honestly. Like, you can expect that and price that in so that and that's why I recommend the mid-range. Honestly, that's why I recommend mid-range. You stay at the mid-range because we're going to get a 5070 that's going to be pretty close to 4080 to 4090 power, maybe a little bit less. And we're going to be getting that here in another year or so. Whereas, like, right now, the 4070 Super is essentially on par with a 3090. So you're getting 3090 power, a $2,000 GPU. You're getting for $600. So price that in your future. If you're going to stick with Nvidia, price that in. Yeah, obviously it's going to get a little expensive, but if you look at it right now, the way it looks is like 12 gigabytes of VRAM on a 4070. It's definitely significantly better than the 3080 or the 3070, 3070 Ti that only had the 8 gigabytes. Like, yeah, you got an extra 4 gigs of VRAM. So yes, it should last you a little bit longer. And depending on the games that you're going to play, I've tested from generation, from PlayStation 3 generation, although, and I'm sorry, I always talk about like the consoles, but I've been a console gamer for like 38 years. So yeah, you got to understand that, like, those are my experience. But if you go back and you look at like PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 experiences, this 4070 Super is going to knock PS3 and PS4 generation out of the freaking park. Absolutely. You're going to get high frame rate. You're going to get max quality visuals, everything, because all of those games were built around an 8 gigabyte VRAM buffer. Actually, a little bit less. You're probably like 6 gigabyte VRAM buffer for all of those games and under. So you will be able to 100% take full advantage of any of those games that came out with high frame rate, high, everything. The whole 9 yards is going to be there for you. But when we start looking forward, to games, you're still going to be able, with a 12 gigabyte buffer, you're still going to be able to play a lot of these games. You're still going to be able to play a lot of them. Some of them, there are going to be some that are going to come out that are going to kind of, bump up against that 12 gigs of VRAM. It's going to happen. Like, games are going to get bigger. You've got AMD and Nvidia both putting 16 gigs of VRAM on lower 1080p cards. So yes, you should 100% expect that VRAM buffer to grow, especially because you got 16 gigs of VRAM in PS5, you got 16 gigs of VRAM in Xbox Series X, but you still have 10 in the Series S, plus you've got the PS5 Pro that the system specs have leaked, and that's looking Sounded a little bit too good to be true to me, but if Sony actually pulls that off, and that console is only like $999, yeah, dude, that's pretty good, man. That thing's gonna definitely give that thing's gonna definitely be a I mean that thing's gonna be a beast. So we're excited about that. But yeah, with the 4070 only having it was 4070 12 gig, super 12 gig, only having 12 gigs of VRAM, that is going to kind of limit you in terms of just where you can go in the future, depending on how games start to pan out. Depending on Unreal Engine 5 seems to be doing a pretty good job at being utilized pretty well and staying within that 12 gigabyte VRAM buffer. But you've got other systems out there, like the RE engine. If you're a big Resident Evil fan, RE engine might cause you some problems. You got Ubisoft games that might cause you some problems. They like VRAM. So just take into consideration, what types of games you like to play and what those games normally come out with, like their VRAM allotment. You can already see with your own eyes that the RE engine, it's gonna have a pretty scalable visual quality, just ranging just from 8 gigabytes of textures and stuff, like actual 4K textures. And when you get in there and you look at something like Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil Village, and you get in there and you look at the overall quality of the textures, you can tell that they are significantly better than a lot of other games with 4K textures. Those in my mind are actual 8K textures. They utilize the allotment of VRAM pretty dang good to get that. So yeah, you can 100% bet that, like, yeah, every generation with the Nvidia GPUs, you might have to upgrade it, unless you're playing like older games and you're upgrading every other generation, or maybe every 2 generations, and you're buying games. Because I've had people say that, like, they're like, yeah, dude, I'm still in Xbox One games. If you're still in Xbox One games, if that's the kind of gamer you are, like you're still playing through Xbox One generation games, and like you're not even buying like the newer gen games or anything like that, yeah, you can easily get away with a 4070 Super. That card's going to run pretty dang good for what you need. And it's going to give you one heck of an experience. You'll be able to max everything out. You'll be able to run things pretty high. And so, yeah, like, you will be able to get a decent experience. But I'm pretty sure that I started this video with like recommending like or talking about like the AMD experience, and like here we are. But yeah, so with the AMD experience for like the last 8 months, like it's been good. I'm still in the honeymoon phase, and I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the user experience. I've really enjoyed the platform. I've really enjoyed the overall depth of the experience that you can get into, and I'm thankful to AMD for actually providing a comparable, solid enough experience that you could easily pick AMD over Nvidia, save a bunch of money, and get one heck of a close experience to what Nvidia is offering. With the 7800 XT and the 7900 XT, yeah, you can get a ray tracing experience. It's not exactly what I would always call like playable, but it is playable. You can usually get over and above 30 frames per second. Like, you can get up to 40 frames, 50, 60 in some games, depending on what special features you want to use or what settings. You can easily get a playable experience that actually looks really good on a 1440p monitor with either one of those cards with ray tracing enabled on. I would say at least 90% of those games you can do that, and you can have a good experience, a playable experience. But then you also have, and like I'm saying, the experience that AMD has given me has actually helped me understand and learn a lot more about PC gaming and what I actually like about PC gaming. And man, I barely touch my Xbox or my PlayStation now because the AMD experience has been so good and it's been so smooth and very welcoming that I can get in there and I can 100% enjoy gaming. I think the biggest draw for me to PC gaming is sim racing. And sim racing is absolutely fire on PC. Absolutely incredible. High frame rates, beautiful freaking visuals, zero compromise when it comes to sim racing. I'm like, yeah, this is incredible. And we're talking zero compromise even on the 7800 XT, like even the 7600 XT, believe it or not, on 4K, man. Like it runs Assetto Corsa Competizione. It runs freaking Automobilista 2. It runs freaking WRC Generations. It runs Dirt Rally 2.0. Like it runs my favorite games without issue. And I'm like, dang, this card is a beast. If you were to go out and buy a 7600 XT, I think that card is awesome. Like the 16 gigs of VRAM definitely puts that card in an interesting position. Right now, it might not be the like top of the top choice due to the AMD's 6700 XT. That's clearly a better card and overall power and all of that stuff. But don't write the 7600 XT off just yet, because if AMD actually does bring the AI upscaling to these cards this year, and you get to take advantage of that on the 7600 XT, that might propel that card a little bit further than what the 6700 XT has. Is if the AI upscaling isn't going to be available on the 6000 series cards. So I don't know. I would love to sit here and tell you, yeah, dude, don't spend your money just yet. Wait, but the longer you wait, the less likely it is you'll be able to get a 6700 XT. So that's something that you're going to have to decide. I mean, I think FSR3 is incredible. I think FSR2 is great, depending on what you use and depending on the game. Sometimes it looks absolutely incredible. Sometimes it definitely leaves something to be desired. But yeah, dude, this experience on AMD, I don't really have a lot of complaints about it. I don't. I don't have any complaints about the AMD experience. To me, it's been fine. And to me, it's delivered on all of the promises, on all of the features. It's given me the experience that I wish I would have, I kind of do wish that I only had to buy a 3080. I really do. I really do. But now, the 3080s short the 3080s, like the short-sighted or the upgrade path for like the 3080, had I known that, I wouldn't be in this. I would I would have never done everything I did. But the 3080 kind of propelled me into being more open-minded and covering the Nvidia experience, covering the AMD experience. So thankfully those, and with you guys, hitting that subscribe button and hitting them freaking comment section and like being there and offering feedback and coming to the channel, you've actually helped this channel grow significantly since I've started, really covering this stuff. And that kind of gave me like this passion to be like, yeah, dude, there's people out there, they want AMD content. They want to know about this. And so I just started like building this whole persona around, creating AMD content. But let's face it, man, I don't want another situation to where I'm at with, PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, being like this like, known as like some fanboy channel. I don't want that. I really don't. But it doesn't matter what I say. I'm always going to be a fanboy of something. So I just want to cover like AMD, Nvidia, PlayStation, and Xbox and Nintendo in a positive video, or like positive content going forward, with all of that stuff. And I've been trying, but then gosh dang fanboys on Twitter always seem to get under my skin, and the fanboys in the comment section always seem to get under my skin. So I make stupid freaking content sometimes. But yeah, dude, I think the AMD experience has 100% been worth your time and investment. We're going to get the 4070 Super. I am planning on upgrading that to the 5070 Super or Super Ti or Super 5070 or 5070 when it comes out, and upgrading the AMD card, when they come out. But I'm gonna rebuild the whole platform. We're gonna build we're gonna do a build right here on the channel. I'm gonna build a whole new PC on live stream, so that's gonna be freaking awesome. I don't know exactly when I'm gonna do that. I'm definitely waiting until the new AMD CPUs come out before I even make a decision to do that or not. I'm also kind of thinking maybe just do another AM4 platform. I know that sounds weird, but with like a 5800X 3D. I'm also thinking about that. Like I've had this 5800X 3D in my cart for a while now, and like it's like right around $300. So I'm thinking about pulling the trigger. And if I do that, then I'm just going to buy another AM4 platform and build that, and then test things on that. I don't know why I feel like that would be better than jumping to the newest platform, because I'm making content for the mid range, guys. For the mid range, I need you to understand this before you guys be like, no, you need to get the most expensive stuff. I'm making content for 60 to 70% of the PC base. I'm not making content for the 10%. We'll leave that to the experts. I'm building content for the consumer market, which is me, the 70%. The mid-range content, the mid-range GPUs, the mid-range experience. We're going to cover that for a little while until I 100% know what I'm doing and know as much as I can about PC gaming. Like, we're going to cover that, dude. Like, we're in a learning phase. We're learning, we're having fun, we're building PCs. We're getting to know the ins and out without throwing a whole ton of money. Like think about it, dude. If I go out and I buy like this really expensive PC and it's like $5,000 and it's got a 4090 and all of the latest gear, and you know what I mean? Like, is that really learning? Am I really having to suffer through issues or have little problems or run into this or run into that? Like, no, I'm not. Why would I do anything else if I had a 4090? Like, would I even care about anything else under that? Or would I just be one of them up on the hill looking down from the clouds, all snobby people? I don't want to be that, dude. I don't want to be so far removed away from the people that actually want to watch and engage in the content. That just seems like, oh man, like, because then my attitude about everything would always be biased. It would be like, I would be like, when I'm making a recommendation for a mid-range card, I'd be like, yeah, man. And I'd be going off my mind with the 4090 or the top of the line stuff. And I'd be like, yeah, this experience is great. And that's kind of what I feel like everybody else does already. So it's like we get these unrealistic expectations of our content and how our GPUs are going to perform and this and that. And, having somebody on Twitter the other day tell me the 4070 is a 4K beast. And I'm like, but then I watched, Richard Ledbetter do his review of the 4070 Super, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's why these guys are thinking this is a 4K card, man. I'm like, okay, you're right, Richard. You are 100% right. You really can get a 4K experience on a 4070. You can. Like, you can. You can use DLSS, you can use everything, and you can get an on par or better console experience on a 4K screen with any of these GPUs, even the 7600 XT. Like, it's possible. You can 100% do that. But herein lies the problem, is you have these unrealistic expectations when it comes to PC because of content like that, because of statements like that. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to just kind of warn people about. It's like, yes, dude, I understand Richard Ledbetter is an expert. And I do the quotes because we're all content creators. We're all I say we're all influencers. But yes, he does know his stuff. He's got better contacts. He talks to more people. He's saying that it's a 4K experience on par with, the we'll say the console 4K experience, what you could expect, having to use upscaling and all of that stuff. Like, he knows what he's talking about, but those are the kind of statements that make people have unrealistic expectations when it comes to tech. And then they find themselves in a situation like I was with my 3080, being upset, being mad, like, why doesn't this perform? I was told this, that, getting frustrated and getting upset. But now that I've actually put money into it, and I've actually bought these products, and I've actually tested them, and I've actually seen and feel the limitations of what goes on and how that is, I know the experience now. I know what GPUs are going to do what, and I know how they're going to perform, and I know how they're going to, what kind of experience I can expect to receive out of those. I'm to a point now where I understand. Like, I grasp things now. I 100% understand. I got people still telling me that I need a new CPU so I could do this or that or whatever. Look, I get it, man. Yes, if I bought a new CPU and a new this and that and everything else, and I can have an even better experience. Like, I get that, dude. I know. I'm not dumb. Like, I get that. But I think a lot of people are still. I've been doing a lot of reading on Reddit. I go to Reddit all the time now, and I read the comments. People are like, "Hey, man, is my 5600X, still good CPU and stuff?" And I'm like, technically your six core CPU is probably going to be just fine, and you're probably going to be fine. You don't necessarily have to upgrade that. You just have to figure out, what frame rate and what settings. If you want higher settings or you want higher frame rates, then you start looking into that. You know what I mean? You start thinking about maybe. I kind of do recommend like the 5800X 3D. I don't necessarily think you need to jump to the the AM5 platform just yet. I think that CPU, would get you a few, like at least a couple of generations. Like I mean, that 5800X does pretty dang good. I mean, like I said, I've got one in my cart that I've been thinking about picking up for a while now. But all right, my friends, that's the AMD experience in a nutshell, and that's how I felt about it. And I wanted to come clean and be honest with you guys and tell you, about the Nvidia thing and how I'm thinking about things now, and that's making it a lot easier for me to be actually excited about it and be like, yeah, dude, like I'm excited about it. $600. I mean, yeah, dude, like I can kind of afford it. I can, you know what I mean? Like it's okay, whatever. I've bought plenty of these AMD GPUs now. So yeah, I'm buying it for the channel. Hopefully I don't have to buy a whole bunch more. I'm not going to be buying like the 4080s or 4070 Ti Supers or any of that. Like we're going to stick to the $500 to $600 range, depending. I think this is what we'll do. We'll set right now a limit of $650 max. The MSRP, the tax, whatever, after that. But $650 max is where we're going to go from now on into the mid-range space. If we get like a 5070 and it's $680 or $700, it looks like mid-range is going to be the 60 series for that year. I don't know, maybe. I'm really hoping that Nvidia doesn't try to do any of that stuff, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Unless you guys start buying more AMD GPUs and give Nvidia a reason to lower their prices and maybe not bashing AMD all the time, maybe it would change. But I don't know, guys. We're digging our own graves when it comes to the Nvidia. We keep paying these high prices. They're going to keep asking for more. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for coming and being a part of this team or a community. I ask you, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, help me grow. Help me to continue to build this content. If you want to join my Patreon, there's one there. I don't post any content on there. If you want to support the channel, I kind of would just prefer you to like put money or not put money, but join the membership here on YouTube. Once we build that up, then I could start doing like some members only type stuff and maybe do something special. But I never designed this channel to be like a channel to beg the community for money, and I don't really want to start now, but some of this stuff does get pretty expensive, and if you guys want to pitch in and you guys want to help the channel grow and all of that stuff, absolutely, dude, I'm not going to turn you down. If you want to help, absolutely do that. That's awesome, and I appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you. So all right, my friends, if you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Sorry that this was a super long video, and I had some stuff to say tonight. So thank you for listening.